Hey, what's up? It's a Figure Hunter, and up for full review tonight is the Amazfit GTR3 AMOLED screen, sleep and wellness, training load tracking, aerobic and anaerobic exertion training effect watch, all for $179. So we're gonna test this and track it for CrossFit training, as obviously all the things on the Figure Hunter channel is for purpose of testing devices for CrossFit. So if you like this, please give it a thumbs up, because I do think this watch is one that should get more recognition. So thumbs up helps that to promote it all around. And if you like the channel, please consider subscribing for more. A bunch of other reviews that are coming out. The TicWatch Pro 3 Ultra Final Whoop testing, and a lot of good things down the road. So stay tuned for more. But what are we going to talk about tonight? This watch has about all of the primary benefits, and it also tracks all of the what could be higher level analytic sports details or sports training, like training load. It's got pulse ox, it's got sleep tracking, respiration tracking, stress tracking. It's got Alexa built in. So we're going to look at it across a few different ways. We're going to look at the watch overall and the app overall. We're going to look at hands-on and then the app. And then we're going to talk about the pros and cons. And then we're going to look at the workouts and the training load evaluation on the watch and on the app. And then we're going to talk about the pros and cons. We'll look at sleep and wellness, and then talk about the pros and cons on the watch and on the app. So in all those sections, I'm going to get into a more detailed list of pros and cons. And then at the end, we're going to talk about the real deal. And it might not cover all the pros and cons of each of the subsections. We're just going to talk about, what is this really like? What are really the pros and what are really the cons in day-to-day use for CrossFit training and just for general use of a watch the other 23 hours of the day. So with that, let's take a look at the watch hands-on and the app and talk about it in some. The Amazfit GTR3. I mean, you gotta appreciate a bright AMOLED screen. I mean, it is brilliant and colorful. So looking at the watch, it's 46 millimeters across, 12.8 millimeters thick, which is actually pretty impressive. The new and updated heart rate sensor here, a 2-button configuration only, and it does have a microphone. It does not have a speaker. An all aluminum body, 22 millimeter traditional band. The band felt okay. It felt fine. They put these ridges in it so that it would be less sweaty, I guess. And obviously it is quick release on the back. But overall, just the brilliance of the watch, 1.4 inch screen. It weighs 48 grams. So you think about a traditional, Phoenix 6, that's probably not comparable. But, the 945 weighs 50 grams, the 945 LTE, 745 in the 50 gram area. So this is one that is just brilliant in the screen. We're going to look at just some of the overall functions. You have, widgets, which you can change any of the details, for what widgets are displayed. You always swipe back to the right to go back to screen. It has rounded edges. It's really a smooth design, just sleek overall. And the screen actually feels good because of the smooth edges, but the rounded edges obviously might be a little problematic with CrossFit banging into something. Heart rate, these are just the ones I had up. I've actually loved, I heard some readers say, or some subscribers say, that they had problems with the weather widget, but you have a big pretty summary, and then you have a projection of what the temperature, how it's going to go down, and then you can see overall details about the weather, which I like a lot, and then a forecast. So weather widget, really nice. I really like it. The PAI is basically, I think within a lot of watches that are coming from international manufacturers, the PAI is believed to be, a measure of your overall health, or how much your fitness, how much your exercise is contributing to overall health. So you have a goal there. Sleep widget, obviously the beautiful colors because of the screen is coming in super nice. You can click into it and you can see your sleep throughout the night. You see a little heart rate graph overlaid on it, your sleep score at the bottom. You can see your phases in big format. This is the stress score, so you can click into it and see how it's picking up. It is trying to track for heart rate variability all day. It is trying to measure it. It's trying to give you stress throughout the day. It doesn't, tie into as much, but we'll talk about that in the wellness section. Blood oxygen, again, you can click into that and get, these are just widgets. One of the things I like, alarm widget, is this last one. So if you were to be on the home screen, just swipe right, you would get this summary widget, which is super cool. The top of which is one of the features that is to mention is Amazon Alexa. What's the weather in Omiyakin, Russia? Omiyakin, Russia, the coldest place on earth, negative 23 degrees. You get a bunch of details. The Amazon Alexa works really well. It does not have a speaker, so be mindful of that. But again, the summary of the weather, you can click into that and you can get more weather. You can go back to the weather widget, the PAI summary, the alarm summary, sleep, heart rate, blood oxygen, stress, workout status, and you can click and get all that same information that we got originally in each of the widgets. You can remove widgets, you can put widgets in. You know, we'll look at that on the app in a second, but the customization with this is fantastic. Plus, the quality of the widgets is great. So, all really great features. You swipe down, you can get what they call the control center, where you can get quick, little summary things. The flashlight is awesome because it's super bright. And you can change brightness. You can look. You can find your watch. This will beep the watch like high decibels, battery. You can get all these things and you can change what is available on the control center. Other watches have this where you swipe down from the top and you get the control center, and you can't customize it as much, but this is a real quick action. I always go to the settings by just clicking there. You pick up and you get your notifications. The notification text size is a little bit small for reading just on the go. But one of the things I love about the Amazfit GTR3 is your ability to customize it. So think about what I've just said. Ability to customize all of these little baby widgets, ability to customize what widgets you see, customize all that. It even has a customization to where the text message you got or a notification from your phone could either automatically pop up or it could stay hidden until you do a wrist raise, until you actually change and register the watch to see it. One of the things that I hate about other watches is that they don't give you that choice to have notifications automatically appear. So if you're in a meeting, you can just sort of glance over and you see, your notification, whatever the text message is or whatever it is from your phone. You click the button here, and it is a really smooth processor. Whatever they did in optimizing their system, obviously it's a little bit simple because they just have all those wellness and fitness things, but it works really well. It registers really well. You have a bunch of different workouts. You can change what workout order is in. So I just put cross training at the top because that's the CrossFit comparison. We're going to look at that in a second, but the workouts are pretty extensive with the options, the workout history. You can see, you can go right into your logbook. So just a ton of control. So that's your app list. And then even at the bottom, you can look for more as they develop apps that are available for the device. So that's just the overall hands-on. Let's look quickly at the app and then come back together. All right, so this is just the main landing page. It's called Zepp, is the app that accompanies Amazfit products. So one of the things that I really love about both the watch and the app is they really have done a great job making it really customizable. So here, just the order of information, you can change any of this. So activities, you can just view more, and it takes you into your full activity log. You have your sleep, and then you have respiration or breathing quality, which is a beta element, but they're trying to track your quality of breathing, not just pulse ox throughout the night, stress and pulse ox. And we're going to look at those in later sections. Exercise status, heart rate, you can dive into any of these things. Traditional things like steps and calories, PAI, which we'll talk about just briefly, weight, BMI, physical status, meaning if you want to put in data for like blood pressure, and then tools, and you can edit this. So you can have any of them in whatever order, and you can basically drag one of these things down below the do not display, and it'll just instantly disappear or instantly appear, or the order will instantly change, and it all works just super well. I've been really surprised and really impressed with how simple but how customizable Amazfit has developed their app. The other thing is just health. You can see just a summary of different activities and friends and target zones. Those are not really that great. And then you get into the watch itself. You can set goals and records, but you go into the watch itself and you can change a number of things. So you can see a bunch of different watches. You can purchase watch faces, I should say. You can have animated watch faces. It's got a laundry list of different options, and it's really easy to use. You have an app store where you could look at different things, you know, water time. So basically adding pregnancy assistant, I mean, teeth brushing, you know, SOS flashlight, there we go, that's what we're missing. And you can add apps, and they're evolving that. Notifications, you just, you know, determine what you want on there. But it really, it gives you specifics and customization within different features. So the settings, you have to log it or connect it to your Alexa account, but it all worked relatively well. Oh, it's gonna... And so I've really just been impressed with how it's worked and how it's not really caused any bugs, or there hasn't been any issues. The watch has synced fine with the app. And that's one of the things that I found in lesser known watches or watches from more international companies, is that they don't sync as well. And so this has all just worked well. Even, you know, Alexa being on it has worked really well. Everything is just has gone simple and fine. So that's the summary of the app. What are the pros and cons? This watch is $179, and mine came with a free pair of earbuds. They were supposedly $80 in value, but $179. It is an AMOLED screen. It is a 1.4 inch screen versus all the 1.2 inch transflective screens out there. It has got a fast, smooth processor. It has total flexibility. I love that you can flex what you see where. It gives you options. You can have notifications automatically appear or not automatically appear. You can have, you know, it always on or not always on. You can change your watch faces, and it's got a great and sleek design for a cheap price. I love the fact that you have the flexibility over all those things, and it has Alexa built in. The fact that you can use that on the watch is just crazy, that it functions effectively. It is really an impressive watch. If you're just looking at the overall use of a watch, it has been fantastic. And then on top of that, it's got great battery life. Now, I have tested this just always on, low brightness setting, and I have done some GPS runs, but mostly have done CrossFit. And it is basically getting 4 to 4.5 days. I have turned on all the health metrics, every health metric I can possibly get. Stress tracking, yes, all day. Blood oxygen track, yes, all day. Sleep tracking, yes, all day. Breathing rate, yes, all night. All of those things, I've just said all of it, yes, and then always on screen, but yes at a lower brightness, because it has been fine, and I'm getting 4 to 4.5 days. That is really impressive. So great price, full customization, big pretty screen, and the things we're going to talk about coming up in the video, excellent components to it, and it lasts 4 to 4.5 days. Fantastic. What are the cons in this section of it? The text size is a little bit small. So when it comes up, it's a little bit small, but because it's an AMOLED screen, it's still completely legible for my weakened eyes. So I don't have any problems there, but it is smaller. So it'd be nice if you could adjust it, make it bigger. There's no speaker on it. So when you ask a question for Alexa, it's not gonna come back with an answer that's audible. You have to read it. It does have a little bit of a sensitive screen, but you know, because like if you're in the shower, it's picking up water droplets. It's reacting to things more quickly than even other touch screens I've tested. And it does have rounded edges. So if you're taking this into the box to do a CrossFit workout and you happen to hit it on a barbell or on a rack, it is going to show it, even though it's Gorilla Glass. So that's the things there. So let's dive into the workouts and training features. So before we dive into that, I want to say I did a specific test video, accuracy testing, because this does not connect to a chest strap. And as I've said in all the videos, if you're wanting to get accuracy for your training load over time, your exertion level evaluation, you have to connect to a chest strap. This does not do it. So you have to watch the accuracy video, but I will tell you the summary, the punchline, is that it's 72% accurate in tracking all areas of a workout. But if you're tracking just your zone 4 and 5, your 80 to 100% of highest, max heart rate exertion, it's tracking 93% accurate. So what I have found is it is overestimating my heart rate. So the inaccuracy was in giving me too big of a heart rate, whereas every other optical heart rate I've ever tested, the inaccuracy was undercounting my heart rate and not getting to peak zones. This one just is the first one I've ever seen that is actually tracking the flow of a workout. It's just overestimating my heart rate by about 5 beats per minute, which skewed some of the results. So if you look at just zone 4 and 5, which is a backbone, it's a good backbone for evaluation, it's getting 93% accuracy. That is fantastic. Now you look at all the metrics that I track, which is just zone 5 only and average. Heart rate, it's 72% accurate, and the inaccuracy is promising to know that the inaccuracy is because of overestimation. So with that out of the way, let's look at how the workouts look on the watch and the training load looks, and the training load, what the benefit and value and features are there. Okay, so what do you see in a workout? You basically go into the workout of your choice. The GPS registers actually really quickly. It's surprising for such an inexpensive watch that it works so functionally well. The settings doesn't really have much to it. And you can actually pre-see what data screens you can see, so we don't actually have to stop the workout. So workout duration, heart rate, you can't change this anywhere that I've found. And then one swipe over, you actually get the music controls, and that's literally what you would be able to be playing on my phone. So it's just built in with music controls, whereas other device manufacturers are like, hey, guess what? We have this new special music control. This is automatically built in here. This bottom button functions just like Polar and Garmin and Coros do. It's a lap timer. So if you wanted to track your time per round, you can do it just like you can on the big sports manufacturer watches. So this is all you're going to see though. I mean, you're not going to be able to adjust these things as much as you may like, but it really is simple to, it has just all the things you might want in tracking a workout. And the other thing that's important is what you see after the workout, what analytical information. And this is actually really a big deal. So when you go into the analytical information, you see the aerobic training effect, the anaerobic training effect, and your training load, which is what they have, which is basically the EPOC, which is excess post-oxygen consumption. So level of intensity determines how much your body needs to take in oxygen after the workout's over to be able to keep up. So workout history. So you can see all those same stats in a big, pretty color format, and then you can see just the summary of stats, and this is what you see after you get done with the workout. Duration, time, heart rate zones, heart rate graph, so a big, pretty graph, and they're definitely taking advantage of the screen itself. But this training effect is the most important. So let's talk about how it assesses your workout intensity over a period of time. So make sure the watch doesn't time out. It's always looking at aerobic and anaerobic training effect and calculating your load. It's taking some time to build a base load so that it can assess that my fitness is at a certain level. So now it is just constantly assessing me as I'm like really crushing myself because I've only done like a week of workouts and they're at higher intensity. And obviously the heart rate accuracy is over judging it. It's overestimating my heart rate. So that's why it's saying my workouts are more intense than they really are, and my load score is higher than it should be. But the fact that this is getting better over time, it's getting better on the training effect calculations, it's getting better on the recovery time estimates, and over time we're going to have to watch to see how it evolves to see. But the fact that it's got an exertion evaluation built into this inexpensive watch is crazy. And then the last is your summary, your training status. So this normally has colors to it. This normally has colors around the edges, but I think I've maxed it out so much that there's actually a glitch that it can't possibly go that high. So again, it gives you great explanations all along the way. If you want to see and understand something, you just click the question mark and it'll tell you what it is and where it comes from. They've done a great job at building in explanations to the health and wellness, your VO2 max, and then the recovery time. So this just simply is like an elapsed down counter that tells you how much time is left to your next really rigorous workout. And it's getting better. So I think as I build my training volume, it will improve. But the workouts have great basic data, music controls, and high level exertion evaluation, just like all the primary contenders in the sports world built into the workout evaluation, as well as the training load metrics built into what looks like just like the training load that's built into the Garmin and Polar and Suunto and Chorus type systems training load, as well as your VO2 max, which a lot of people have, a lot of watches have, as well as recovery time. But training load and recovery time are not norms amongst all watches. So let's look at the app to see how it handles workouts. All right, so what do you see when you look at workouts and training load over time? So you can just see the view more. And this is what you're going to see after a workout, both on the watch and in the app, a summary of what you've looked at. So you see the heart rate graph. Obviously, we talked about the heart rate accuracy, and you want to watch that video for an in-depth comparison to a chest strap. You get your heart rate zones, and then you get your training effect, your aerobic training effect and your anaerobic training effect, and lap time. So if you did count your time per round, it'll show you a lap detail there at the bottom. But it all, in some ways this is really simple information, but I've seen other major manufacturers not give you heart rate zones. One of the things that's nice is that you can actually customize your heart rate zones. Some watches, they don't even let you change the heart rate zones. It's sort of like locked in somewhere. But all of this is customizable. So that's what you see a workout summary, and the best part of it being that you can see the training effect, both aerobic and anaerobic, to see what areas you're growing in and what ways you're impacting. If you look at a run, I'm just going to show you a run, it's worked really well. Everything has just worked effectively. And you can see pace and heart rate and time to heart rate zones and altitude adjustments, gradient spectrum, cadence, stride, and then the training effect again, which I really that's the most important thing. It's an evaluation of exertion. And the other thing that's, really important in all of the grand scheme of things is this training load. So you see your chart over time. It is just building for me. So, last 7 days, but you can scroll back and forth. So I'm building my base. So it obviously is going to overcalculate my exertion level for a while. But I mean, how cool is it for such a cheap watch that has a big, beautiful screen? I mean, and has better accuracy than I've seen on a watch of its kind, and battery life. So, the fact that you can see your chart across time as you're building your training load and tracking your load over time, it gives you this scale. And obviously I'm off the scale because it's still in its development phase, but that is all really helpful. You can see your, development over time as you look at your, VO2 max development if you're a runner. It's not going to have the same level of running stats, but the workouts and the training load tracking are really impressive. What's great about this? I mean, you can get aerobic and anaerobic training effect. I'm going to talk about a con with that in a second. Actually, I'll just talk about it now. There is an in-house algorithm. So I do believe Amazfit has departed from first beat algorithms, which has had a long tenure of history of tracking this, and they're doing their own algorithms for aerobic and anaerobic training effect, recovery time, and training load evaluation. But that aside, it's actually been totally useful information. It is still building an awareness of what training level I can handle. So it is overestimating everything right now for me, but I've seen that in other watches. It's not surprising. Coros did it in full for a long period of time before it started to balance out my recovery times and telling me the right information. But it's got, you can count your time per round because it's got a lap timer built into it. It's got quick to lock on GPS. It's got, from what I can tell on my short little slow runs, accurate GPS. The stats that it supplies, I feel like, are excellent. It's crazy easy to see, and even in sunlight, but especially in the gym, because the AMOLED screen is just visually beautiful and just brilliant. It's got helpful explanations of all the different health metrics that you could want to track when it comes to workout, recovery, and training load. It's the fact that it's got workout training effect and aerobic and anaerobic, like all the major manufacturers, recovery time and training load that you can see quickly on the watch. So all those things, those are fantastic. What are the cons when it comes to workout and training with this watch? The one primary con is you cannot connect to a chest strap. So that is a major bummer. I will say though, the fact that it's overestimating heart rate a little bit, and that it shows that it absolutely can track peak zones and get to high level exertion of heart rate pace, it is actually not as fearful for me to use this if this is all you could afford. So we'll talk about that in the summary. So you can't adjust the data you can see on the watch. That's a bummer. The time it takes to build the training load so that your recovery time is not, because it's saying like 3 days all the time for me, and the aerobic and anaerobic is just maxed out all the time, so that's not right. So, and then the in-house algorithm thing is still yet to be seen, but overall it's fantastic. It's done a great job at giving me useful information in the workouts, post-workouts, and training load on an inexpensive watch. So with that aside, let's also now look at sleep and wellness and see what it provides there. Okay, so let's see what you can see on the watch when it comes to sleep, wellness, and in general. You know, you have the sleep widget, which we've seen just in glance. You see the total time, you see your score at the bottom, you can see your phases, and then you can view settings. But it's just a little bit simplified, but you at least get your score and the summary of the night. You could even see the heart rate graph where I had a blip and I woke up in the middle of the night. But the sleep quality, the quality of information is fantastic. And then the other health and wellness features that come is, you know, obviously stress tracking throughout the day. It's more going to track it accurately throughout the night because it's just looking for readings where the watch is sitting still on your wrist. But you can get information about how stressed you are, and then you can see those trends over a long period of time like we'll see in the app. So the stress is actually really helpful. And the other thing that's helpful is the pulse ox, or the blood oxygen, where a lot of watches have this, but they haven't optimized how to make it useful. And then a lot of them actually don't seem to track accurately. So I think this is actually tracking more accurately than the Garmin Elevate 3.0, which is on the Fenix 6 and the 945. I think the new sensor on the Venue 2 and the 945 LTE is actually better, but I think that this is actually tracking more accurately because it's catching me between 95 and 100, which is actually more accurate, I think, for where I would be with a medical grade sensor. So blood oxygen, stress tracking, and sleep tracking all tie in. There's general wellness things like you should stand up every hour. It'll track that and tell you to stand up. It'll track how many hours you stood up throughout the day. It'll give you reminders for fitness. It's got the PAI score built in, which, you know, gives you information. The PAI thing looks actually pretty cool when it comes up, but they give you a lot of information about your overall activity level. So lots of wellness features built into this inexpensive watch. Let's see how they appear on the app. Okay, so what do you see for sleep and wellness? I have really grown to love like some of the stats that they provide. You know, it is not as actionable as I want, but you can see your stages of sleep. You can see your summary of sleep across time if you just want to start looking. Now this will show you, like, you can see that there's deep sleep, light sleep, REM, that's registered, but it doesn't give you as quantifiable information in that monthly or long-term snapshot. You can add your breath rate, you can add your, well, I guess you can't add the heart rate here, but, oh yeah, there it is. You can add your heart rate across the time and turn them off, and then you can dive into a sleep quality, or I'm sorry, breathing quality. This is a beta thing when it tells you like your suspected difficulty, but you're normal all around. Really helpful that they're evolving, and it's beta, so that means they're working on how to evolve this over time. But this is another great thing. You can see your proportion of sleep, and you can see trends over time, and it gives you all this information for what you can read about what the value, what the benefit, what this stage of sleep is. So they're just giving you a lot of simple to access information about wellness. It tells you, fell asleep too late. Yeah, got that. And you can, give yourself subjective things, or, things that you did before bed, so you can start to track that. You can see your, highest score, lowest score. You can track a lot of stats. And then on top of it, you have the stress tracking. Let's actually look at the pulse ox tracking. So it's capturing it at all times. If you turn pulse ox tracking on a Garmin watch all day and all night, it burns the battery down like you lit it on fire. Obviously, you want to do it for nighttime because that's the most relevant, because the watch can actually track it more accurately. But this watch does it, and it really isn't burning the battery down. Now, obviously, it's not getting correct readings a lot throughout the day because there's not enough sitting still time. But you can see, I really feel like this is accurate because I should be targeting about 95% on average. That's more of the appropriate range for what I would get, I think, on a medical grade. And then stress tracking. So you can see your stress easing, if it was able to pick up stress scores. Now, Garmin is able to pick up heart rate variability scores throughout the day. This just isn't able to do it. So the value is not as worthwhile here, but the fact that they're trying to assess, and it gives you, again, a breakdown at the bottom, heart rate variability tracking. This watch is doing it. With Chorus, you actually have to hold your hands on a spot and try to get heart rate variability. Here, you can basically say, okay, what was my heart rate variability right before I woke up? It was 19. And you can track your waking heart rate variability, which they say is health-wise really important, compared to, one day at a time. So, this tracks it across periods of time. It doesn't give you as much quantifiable information, but the fact that they're evolving these health aspects is really fantastic. So let's talk. Okay, so sleep and wellness. You can do the blood oxygen all day, all night. It's really just picking up during the night because it can't keep up with moving across your wrist during the day, but it's trying all throughout, and it's not creating a significant battery drain. It's impressive. Stress, it's trying to track it all day. Garmin I've been doing that for a long time, and it's effectively been doing it. So the fact it can't get a reading in the middle parts of the day, not so great, but we'll talk about that in a second. The explanation of all the health metrics, the explanation where you can just jump quickly into a summary of why this is important, even on the PAI, which is just irrelevant to like how much overall activity you're having, both exercise and life itself. You can still see where they got their information, what it means. You can sort of dive into all of it and get a better understanding of health and wellness, which is fantastic. It's easy, quick access. It works well. The sleep score is, the fact that it shows all the stages of sleep, the fact that they're developing a beta for your breathing disruptions throughout a night's sleep, it shows that they are really focused on the wellness. What are the cons? The stress isn't totally helpful because it's not tracking it throughout the day, and I'm not super stressed when I'm asleep. So I don't need to know my stress level as much when I'm asleep, although you can see your heart rate variability to get a measure of your recovery. It just doesn't use that information, and then hopefully they'll evolve that over time. And then the sleep score has been on average too high. So it's just, I think my lowest was like 65, and I get some bad night sleep, so it should be 45 would have been that night. So that might evolve over time as well as I start to see my averages and it says, oh, this is below average. It might give me lower sleep scores. So with those things aside, let's talk about the real deal about the Amazfit GTR3. All these things combined in a simple summary format. Okay, so we're going to look at this in cons first and then pros second for a simple reason. Because this isn't all so much. I mean, just for the money, this is a really good watch. Cons, you can't connect to a chest strap. That is the biggest, dumbest thing I've ever seen from a company that is tracking your, disruptions of breath in the middle of the night, looking for pulse ox all the time. Why can't it connect to a chest strap? Makes no sense. The stress score doesn't really help if it's not tracking your stress in a workday. Not as useful. And the overall wellness needs more of a summary to it. Not just sleep, but just give me like a summary. All these watches need just to say, here is a summary of all of this information and how we sort of put it all together for you. Not just you can go into each information, you can click on this field and look at a chart, but tell me how it all comes together for my wellness. But all these things, the wellness, the heart rate for an optical only, it's still better than any of the competition. And then think about the value across the board. The heart rate accuracy is still more accurate than other optical heart rates in this price range because it's tracking 5 beats per minute over, not even getting close to the peak zone. And it's tracking highly accurately in the general high zone, not the specific highest zone. The training effect, the training load, the recovery time, the crazy bright screen, crazy good battery life, 4.5 days, and doing all these health metric tracking all along the way, a great and smooth processor, an easy connection with the phone, an easy app experience, full customization of what you see where on the watch and the control screens. It's got full customization of the layout of everything, all the primary health metrics you would want to see, all in a watch for $179 that will track high-level training statistics that are worthwhile and valuable that are offered in really expensive watches. So the Amazfit GTR3 is really impressive. And I would say Amazfit is a company to watch. I watched their, the release of the new icon or the new brand symbol, and the release of the GTR and the GTS3, both of those at the same time. And I really think that they are trying to take more market share and really charging ahead. So if they evolve some of these things like a chest strap and more wellness sort of summary information, this will be a hugely competitive company because they are giving quality content when it comes to training also, not just generic, this is your heart rate and your workout type information. So with that, that's the Amazfit GTR3s, the Fit Gear Hunter. Thanks so much for watching.